Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Tuesday talk show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman. And when I'm not hosting these shows, I run a print company on Pride Park in Derby. But enough about me. I bet you're here to hear all about our special guests. But before I introduce them, just a bit of housekeeping this one, a bit of housekeeping. This is live. This is unedited. It is not a podcast. So anything can happen. There could be some background noises, but that's fine. My next guest isn't known to be a potty mouth, but there's few swear words may creep in. So apologies in advance for any little ears listening in as well. You're very free and welcome to send in your comments and questions. So if you want to just listen in and listen to us while you're working, that's absolutely fine. But if you want to send a question in or a comment, we'll give you a shout out during the show. Now, it'd be great to hear from you. So if you're watching, give us a high five, as Joe Wicks would say. Give us a high five by pressing the like button. And for series 2 of the Tuesday Talk Show, yes, we are in the second series now, which is so exciting. We are going live not only on the Small Businesses Unite Facebook group, which has over 1,000 members, but we're also going live on the Essential Print Services Facebook page. It's public, woohoo! And also, we're going live on the guests' Facebook page, but we'll reveal that very, very shortly. So, over to our special guest this morning. When I thought about my special guest, 3 words came to mind. That's tenacious, determined, and she oozes perseverance. It can be none other than Chloe from the Derbyshire Institute of Sport. Come on down, Chloe. Here she is.
Good morning, everyone.
And she's colour coordinating with the banner, which I absolutely adore. Well done. She knows me very well. Brownie points for that, Chloe. How are you this morning, Chloe? You well?
Yes, all good and well. Thank you very much. Yes.
Excellent. Well, we're only here for half an hour, so I want to get straight into it, if that's okay with you. So, Chloe, how on earth did you become to be a part of Derbyshire Institute of Sport? Over to you.
Thanks very much, Yvonne. Well, having had my whole life based in sport, being an athlete first, my education in sport, and then working for various sports organisations, myself and 2 other guys developed this concept around what the Derbyshire Institute of Sport is. At the time, it was a project within another company. And in 2017, I transitioned it to become its own community interest company. And at the time, the board fortunately appointed me as the managing director.
Wow, amazing. Absolutely amazing. So over the past year, Chloe, what sort of, including the lockdown, because it has almost been a year, which is absolutely crazy, what new belief or behaviour has greatly improved your life?
Sure. Well, I guess we're very fortunate. We have a performance psychologist on our team, so we're always actually looking at our values and behaviours. One that's really important to us, well, that's been really pivotal recently is to do with our value of integrity, and it's honesty with ourselves. So we're very comfortable with being honest with ourselves and also sharing kind of honesty with others as well. I think that's been vital through the kind of lockdown, sharing people when you're up, when you're down, and just how you're kind of coping and managing through this challenging situation, really.
Have you been surprised about how honest and open people have been, not just within your network of athletes and sponsors, but beyond that? I know I certainly have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's that human connection that everybody is craving for right now, and so I think everybody is just being honest with everyone and just sharing exactly how they're feeling. I think it just massively helps everybody if you don't feel like you're on your own in a space, but if everybody else is feeling similar to you, then you can work through it together and hopefully come out a lot more positive the other side.
Absolutely. And hopefully it's a legacy as well that will continue when we got out of this pandemic, is being a bit more open and honest with people. And I don't know about you, but when I go to networking events, how are you? People just default to, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, business is really well. Yeah. But I think I've spoken to, on a previous episode with Jack from Simon from Jack Photography, we spoke about it's not always fine. And it'd be so refreshing if you can go to these networking events where you do speak to trusted peers and you can be a bit more open and honest about it. And actually, if you scratch the surface just a little bit, you'll find that it's not always that good. And just speaking about it helps immensely. So how have you used the time during lockdown? Has anything been different within your day-to-day roles?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously with being in lockdown, we can't work face-to-face with our athletes, and also can't get out and meet with our sponsors as much as we would normally do. So like everybody, we've had to create a program that works online. So we've kind of changed quite a bit of what we do. I guess before, in terms of our athletes, a big focus was on strength and conditioning, but now we do a lot more on nutrition, psych, mental fitness, lifestyle, lots and lots of things. So for us, it's actually helped enhance the service that we provide to our athletes. That's not saying it's better, because there's nothing better than being face to face with people, in our opinion. But yeah, we just try to constantly connect with the people that we're working with and deliver to them what they want, really.
So running the sort of organisation that you do, Chloe, you must have plenty of hurdles. Sorry, I just have to get that in there.
Very good.
What is the hardest thing about running Derbyshire Institute of Sport?
Well, I guess the hardest thing is, because we are so small, is the fact that, and as the MD, you take on every single role. If something needs doing, you've got to just do it. I don't have a huge marketing team, or an awards team, or a commercial director, or all of these kind of roles that kind of bigger companies, I guess, may have. If a job needs doing, I've got to do it, and that's a good challenge, I suppose.
So would you then, who do you go to for advice about PR, marketing, HR thing? Is that where your networks come into play?
Well, you for marketing, Yvonne.
I'm a marketeer.
Yeah, no, I've got some amazing people that work around me. I've got certainly our own writer, Elaine Pritchard, and we also have a really fabulous
Shout out to Elaine. Shout out to Elaine.
She is pretty awesome at all the PR stuff. And we also have a student from the University of Derby who's been fantastic, Elliot Green. So in terms of marketing, we have bits of support. But the rest, I guess, there's just some great businesses that sponsor us. So there are also people that have become really good friends of mine that I can ask, well, how do you do this? And what would you do about this? And, I just try to surround myself with people that I think know a lot more than me and are open for me to ask them some questions.
I don't mean to test your memory on a Tuesday, Chloe, but do you want to give a shout out to some of your sponsors whilst you have the opportunity? Go for it.
Absolutely. Well, of course, I've got to mention Dean Jackson, who is, of course, our original sponsor, more than anything else, from Hoob. I've also, we've got to talk about, Docklands is another sponsor that we have, who gave us significant amounts of money. Derby Arena, we would be officially announcing that we've moved to there very soon. We have JKE Security, we have Cozy, we have Invictus Independent Financial Solutions, we have Rally UK, we have, it really for me. We have AMG Wealth Management. We have
loads and loads of, I'm gonna have to stop you there, even if you can't remember anymore. I'm gonna have to stop you. What do you think is a success behind having so many phenomenal supporters and sponsors? What do you think they see in the organisation? What do you think they're buying into?
Well, I think they're buying into what our purpose is. I've always tried to really stay true to what our purpose is, and that's to support young athletes to become champions. So I think that's where I've been very open and honest with people about what it is that we're trying to achieve. And then also been able to, now we're able to offer a kind of health and wellbeing package to organisations as well. So we're able to give back in terms of offering our services around wellbeing, nutrition, physical exercise, to companies as well that want that little bit more, connect them with high performance, which is always great. But yeah, I think it's just really for me, it's always about having a relationship with the person that you've got a partnership with, and making sure that it benefits both sides, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And from knowing you, Chloe, and working with DIS, it's been an eye-opener as to how the training you do with the athletes and the psych work that you do with the athletes, how it translates so perfectly into a business team, whether they've got a passion about sport or not. And I'm just going to take a moment there just to give some shout outs. We've got some comments, which is really exciting. I love it when the audience gets involved. We've got a friend of the show, Andrew Deaton. Good morning, Andrew. What have we got here? Good morning, Chloe and Yvonne. Happy New Year. That's fine. We don't mind. Who else have we got? Oh, Elaine. Elaine's here. Thanks for the shout out. I love working with DIS and all our fab sponsors. Excellent, Elaine. Thanks for joining us this morning. And we've got another friend of the show, Simon from Jack Photography. I mentioned you earlier, Simon. Happy New Year to you both. Fantastic. Good morning to everyone watching this live or on catch up. Please do send in your comments and your questions, and we'll give you a shout out during the show. And as Joe Wicks would say, give us a high five by clicking that like button. Chloe, what one thing would you want to change about maybe your organisation or maybe in business in general? Is there anything you'd like to see change?
Well, of course, I just want all the businesses to survive back on their feet. So it'd be a bit silly to not say that, I think. In Derbyshire, we've got such a really good community feel around businesses. And, most people know each other in a roundabout way. So just trying to support each other for everybody to survive will be the main change that I think hopefully can happen this year. I'm not sure.
Well said. And I think that is just the answer in a nutshell. Absolutely. The next question I've started to ask my guests. It's one that I heard Zoe Ball on the Radio 2 show ask a very famous director whose name completely escapes me, but it will come back to me, I'm sure. What is the best piece of advice someone has given you, and how did it affect your life? Boom.
Gosh.
Chloe.
Well, I'm a believer in actions speak louder than words, so I don't think I could say somebody has said this and it's changed my life. But I watch people, and I guess I need more than one. So I guess the three main people that have affected my life most is, first of all, my mum and stepdad. They've always taught me to do what makes you happy. Unfortunately for them, they didn't have jobs that they really loved. So for me, it was always, it doesn't matter what you really, it doesn't matter about status and wealth, but just be happy in what you're doing. My incredible karate coaches always taught me to work incredibly hard, never ever give up. It's even when you think that you've won something, that's great and enjoy the moment, but then get back on it and start working hard for the next challenge. There's no shortcuts to success at all. It is literally hard work. And then, of course, people that know DIS will know that I have the pleasure of working with Andy Wood. And I think the word that epitomizes him is this word of humble. And I think for us, it's just such an important thing in my life to just always be humble, be grateful for what I've got, and also just be striving hard and continue to be the student forever.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's absolutely fantastic, Chloe, and it definitely resonates with me. My dad will always say, you spend so much of your life at work, you make sure that whatever you do, you try and enjoy it. Definitely. And karate. So do we got to be careful with you? What sort of level of karate did you get to?
Yes, well, believe it or not, you may not think it now when you look at me, but yes, I did get to kind of world level. My greatest achievement was silver in the world, which is a little bit disappointing for me because clearly I wanted to win gold. At one stage of my life, it was everything to me, and I put everything into it. It was a big part of what I've done, and I've learned many lessons from doing it as well, and still continue to. Before lockdown, I was still training. But it's a sport where you can just continually learn. It is an art form. There's so much behind it, and whether it's about the self-defense element, the competition, fitness, social, whatever it is, there's always something to be learning.
Well, I also did karate, and I got to the phenomenal heights of an orange belt. And with my travels with the sport, I got as far as Lancaster Sports Centre on top of Chapel Street Car Park. So with your silver status, where's the furthest did you go to for competitions?
Well, my geography's not great, but I think the furthest place was Russia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lancaster Sports Centre, eat your heart out. Fantastic. Oh, anyway, that's a really good insight there. Thanks, Chloe, for revealing that bit of you. So don't mess with Chloe is the moral of the story there. Going straight back to the questions, because we're flying through the time as I always do in these shows. What is the most worthwhile investment you've ever made?
Definitely my expert staff. My staff are everything to me. To create world-class athletes, we have to have world-class staff. It's took us a while to get to the point where we are now, but without them, the company would be nothing. They're all high performance experts in their field. They tell me what they want to do and how it should work, and somehow I just kind of pull it all together. So yeah.
Good answer. Good answer. Not one that I was expecting. I was thinking more of a material thing. But yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Now I know that you're a very determined lady. But what have you become better at saying no to?
Yeah. It's definitely a difficult one for me, because I do like to obviously take the opportunities that come our way.
Well, how do you distinguish between something that might not be as beneficial to the organisation than another opportunity? Are you brave enough yet to say no to people?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're so, whilst I am passionate about what we do, it's really about purpose more than passion. There's a real strong purpose to what we're doing. So if people are inviting me to take part in things that are away from that purpose, then yes, I have to just say no, I'm afraid. I guess, Do you have an example, without naming any names, do you have an example of an opportunity where you've actually, that doesn't fit our culture, it just doesn't feel right? Yeah, so I guess there's in terms of, I won't name names, but there has been some sponsors, for example, that have kind of wanted to be part of DIS, but not really for the right reasons. So I think for us, it doesn't really fit. You kind of appreciate there's certain companies that probably wouldn't be right for us to align next to.
It's a huge compliment anyway, isn't it, for someone to come forward and say, I want to be part of this. But yeah, it takes a lot of bravery and courage to say, as much as you may, need that funding to help another athlete get to be successful, and it's really can't do it. So yeah, it's a tough one. Not many people can deal with that just yet. Now, my inspiration for the Tuesday Talk Show, one of my inspirations is because I read a book called The Travel Mentors by Tim Ferriss, and some of these questions have come from that book. It's a bit of a plug there for Tim, not that he needs another bit of royalty. I think he's got enough already. But one of the questions that I'd like to ask you, Chloe, is what book has influenced you the most?
Well, Andy Wood actually recommended this one to me just recently, and it is pretty life-changing. It's called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday, and it's just really insightful, again, just about your own mindset and kind of how you view your ego and others as well. So I'd highly recommend that book to anybody, really.
And that's Ego is the Enemy by who? Sorry, Chloe.
Ryan Holiday.
Okay, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah,
I heard of that one, so I'll check that out, and I'll pop the link in the notes after the show, of course. I've got a comment here by an anonymous user. I don't know who you are, but because it doesn't say your name on the screen, but we've got Morning Ladies, and the same person has put a great book. So someone obviously is checking that out. Back on to questions, because we are flying through time. Now, this one is a tricky one to answer, and feel free to skip it because it's a personal one. But again, throughout the pandemic, I know from speaking to many small business owners, there's been people who are finding it really tough, really tricky, and they have thought about, quitting their businesses. They have come to rock bottom. Chloe, has there been a time when you felt like quitting? That could have been, before DIS or during DIS. And if you want to share with us, what was that trigger point and how did you overcome it?
Sure. I wouldn't say I'd go as far as saying I felt like quitting. I think there's times where you kind of say to yourself, I just can't do this anymore. But actually, for me, that's just me triggering my brain to think I can't do it this way anymore. I've got to go through another challenge and I've got to make a change again in myself and in my business. So I don't think I've got to a stage yet where I felt like actually quitting and really feeling that. I think it's just the constant kind of challenge of having to change all the time. And there's definitely times where, that the thought of having to change again is kind of hit you in your stomach and you thought, oh gosh, really? I've just got it to a point and it's going well and now I've got to rip it up and change again. But I do have the pleasure of working with an incredibly amazing team, and we are all honest with each other. So, I have the luxury to sit with them on Teams and have the conversation about, okay, then guys, so this is the next challenge. What shall we do and how shall we get over it? So I think for me, it is about surrounding yourself with fantastic people and knowing that there is always a different way of doing things.
So rather than quit, find a different way. And I know that there's a infographic on social media that does the rounds every now and again. It's something on the lines of, when you feel like quitting, just take a break.
Yeah.
Take a break from it. And sometimes when I feel like work, it feels like you're drudging through the mud. It just should feel really easy, but there's one thing that I was doing yesterday was really easy and quick, and today the same thing just feels like it's taking forever. Just stop, take a walk around the block, or just take a break from your environment, and then you come back and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, it's easy again. I'm sure your psychologist would find a reason for that, but yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's just take a break, or rather than quit, make that change. And Chloe, for people who don't necessarily have that team around them or that peer network to soundboard off, what sort of advice would you give them? Would it basically be find your network, or what if they're people feeling really lonely, they don't feel like they've got that support network? How can they deal with that situation?
Yeah, well, I guess before kind of going to the connection point, a big part is recovery. So it's something that you learn massively in sport, that actually recovery is the most important part of any training. So you do need to, when you get into that point where you feel like it's just too much, it's overwhelming, that is the time to take time out and to, get some decent sleep, do some things that you enjoy. And then, then you can come back to it with a fighting spirit, I guess, really. So, and the same is exactly the same in business. When I feel completely overwhelmed, I think, right, okay, I'm just going to need to just come out of it for a bit and see what I can do. In terms of connecting with people, I mean, there are so many marketing networking groups out there that people can kind of join. But very happy for anybody to connect with me. Always happy to chat with anybody, as I know you are, Yvonne, as well. So I guess, it's important to build that team around you. I think it's so crucial to have it and work out who are your support factors, whether that's on an emotional level or a business level or a physical level or general well-being level, kind of really important to pull out what you actually need from other people and go out and seek it.
Yeah, absolutely. And myself and Chloe are a part of an unofficial business support group, which mainly takes place on WhatsApp during random hours of the day. And it's just phenomenal to have that support where you can drop something in the WhatsApp group and immediately you've got other people from all different perspectives going, what about this? What about that? And soon enough, you've got this answer or a path of, the road to go. I want to reveal our anonymous Facebook user who made the comment earlier. So our comment earlier from the anonymous Facebook user was morning ladies. There's no clue there. Great book, they said. And I can now reveal the anonymous person is Matt Elliott. Yay! Come on down. Good morning, Matt, and good morning to everybody who's watching this live on the Facebook group or on the Essential Print Services Facebook page. Please send in your comments and questions, whether you're watching this live or on catch up, and we'll definitely get back to you very shortly. So, Chloe, you've achieved loads in a nutshell. There's tons of stuff already, but what is left on your bucket list?
Oh, gosh. Well, I don't necessarily like to reveal what my big goals are, because I think it's about what you actually do as opposed to what you say. So, for now, I just want to keep supporting athletes. I really want as many young people to achieve what they can possibly achieve as possible for our support or through support elsewhere. Gladly give anybody advice around that. I want to, obviously, biggest thing on the bucket list is for DIS to survive. We have to keep working hard like every other business to do that.
Okay, then let me reframe that question. Yeah. Rather than what's on your bucket list, what does success look like to Chloe Maudsley?
For me personally, a happy and healthy family life. That's
nice.
It, really.
And what about for DIS? What does success look like?
Success
first place on the podium in every single sport.
No, not really. So not every athlete achieves by being on a podium. We help athletes a lot in other ways, so it's not just about getting them to be the best in terms of first, second, third. It's just about getting them to have the life skills to be happy and healthy in life, whether that's along a sporting career or an education career, but continue kind of being healthy. So, success for DIS is I guess more athletes, more people, linking our workout into businesses. We offer a business champions club now to support kind of business owners. We want to grow our sponsorship. And I don't think now is the time to kind of make massive big goals. Personally, I'm not sure if that's right. I think it's just about working as hard as we can to just keep building on the strong foundations that we've got.
So talking about big goals, I just want to touch on the Olympics, Tokyo Olympics, if that's okay with you. Yeah. So this has been broadcast live for the first time in January 2021. Chloe, for athletes who may be catching up with this show and for potential sponsors and existing sponsors, there's uncertainty about this year's games. What would you say to athletes and sponsors who think, well, if it's not happening, then what's the point? How do you maintain that mindset to keep pushing forward and train and support you guys?
Yeah, so I'll take the athlete side of it first. So yes, athletes do train just for one particular event, but they train because they love what they do. They don't need motivating because, there will be another competition after it. Whether the Olympics happens or not, there will be other stuff. We're really lucky. We've got a Midlands Commonwealth Games coming in 2022 in Birmingham. The Paris Games 2024, obviously only just over the pond there. So I think we, there's lots and lots going on in sport and competition, regardless of whether the Olympics happens this year or not. And there's no certainty around whether that is going to happen or not yet. From an athlete perspective, they still just have to train as though they are going. We have a few athletes that are training in that way and are having to train as best as they can, often without the facilities that they would normally have. But it's the same situation across the world. So as with everything, you just have to keep working hard to be the best that you can be. In terms of our sponsors, I don't think we've got any sponsors that are only sponsoring us for getting athletes to achieve ultimate success. people know our story that sponsor us. They know that it is about a personal journey with an athlete. It's providing a wraparound service of care to them to help them to be the best that they can be. There's no guarantees that an athlete with us goes to the Olympics or achieves at world-class level. That we just can't make those kind of claims. What we can say is that we'll absolutely 100% give athletes a personal care, and they will definitely achieve what their potential is. They'll be in control of that, and we'll guide them and support them in the best way that we can.
Brilliant. And I think that is just brilliantly put, how it's not just about the Olympics at DIS. There is, I know that is so much more than that. So yeah, so thanks, that's very well put. We need to wrap up, Chloe. It's gone to half an hour. It flies by. So whilst I wrap us up, can you think of a final thought for the viewers at home? So I'm going to wrap us up, then I'll come back to you for our final thought. But just before we do that, where can people find you, Chloe, if they want to get in touch?
Well, I guess our website, derbyshireis.co.uk. We have a Facebook page, Derbyshire Institute of Sport. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. Or, you know what, people can just give me a call.
Good old-fashioned phone call.
Phone call. I love to chat to anyone. So, yeah, I don't know if you can put my phone number in the chat or whatever, but yeah, however people want to get in touch.
Fantastic. A couple more shout outs then whilst before we wrap up. We've got a hello Yvonne from Robert Parker, and Robert Parker was at the Evely Arms in Ashbourne, so big up to you, Rob. Thanks for joining us this morning. And another shout out to Fiona Coulson as well. Good morning, Fiona. Thanks for getting involved this morning as well. It's great to see you. Series 2, episode 1. Thanks so much, Chloe, for joining us this morning. We've got people lined up for series 3 later on in the spring as well. So please do tune in if you've enjoyed this, and hopefully you'll enjoy more of them. We're here every Tuesday at 10 a.m, live, unscripted, unedited. Anything can happen. So please do get in touch. If I've not asked you yet and you're watching this to be on the show and you want to get involved, then drop me a line. Come on down. You're very welcome. So over to you, Chloe from Derbyshire Institute of Sport. What is your final thought?
Well, I guess always stay happy and healthy, but from a business perspective, I would just say just always remain to be a student and be as humble as you can.
Brilliant. Okay, fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause. Woo! Thank you, Chloe, for joining this morning and for your time. It's been fantastic chatting with you as always, and we'll see everyone here next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Have a good Tuesday. See you later. Bye.